Hey, and welcome to this course on Solidity Programming. In this video and blog series, we aim to teach new developers how to code smart contracts. And in this first video, we're going to show you how to set up your local environment. Now, I recommend Hardhat for Solidity programmers who are serious about building smart contracts. I know many tutorials are going to recommend Remix, and that's a great environment for tinkering and playing. But if you talk to professional developers, you'll see that they use either Hardhat or Foundry for the real work. So let's start with a solid foundation as we deep dive into Solidity. We'll need to spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes setting up the workspace. So let's install Hardhat. And the easiest way to do that is to head over to a Badass Hardhat Setup GitHub repo. This already has a package.json, which includes the latest version of Hardhat and a few other items that are going to make your life easier. Now I'm going to go over to my terminal and let's go ahead and git clone that repository. Okay, now let's cd into it. You see it's got a few items. Now we're going to do npm install, and that's going to install all the dependencies within the Badass Hardhat repo. Okay, now we're all set. Okay, now I've opened up VS Code, my IDE of choice, and let's explore the repository that we just cloned. Now you can see here we have a contracts folder, a deploy scripts folder, and a few other items. The first thing you have to do is set up your local environment variables. So you see here we have a .env.example that provides some instructions. The key items here that we need to update are the mnemonic, the Etherscan key, and preferably an alchemy key. We'll start by getting an Etherscan key. So we'll go to etherscan.io and grab a key there. Okay, visit etherscan.io, log in, navigate to your profile, head over to API keys, and create a new key. Now just copy that key and navigate back to the code and update the environment variable. Now we need to repeat the same for the alchemy key. Let's do that. Head over to alchemy.com, click on sign up, and let's go ahead and sign up. Okay, I verified my email and I'll choose the free plan. Okay, head over to apps and create an app. Okay, and now you can see the app has been created. Let's go ahead and view the key. And you can see the key is right here. We're going to copy that key. Now let's head back to our VS Code and we'll replace the key. Okay, last thing is to set up the mnemonic. So a mnemonic is a 12 or 24 word phrase. And of course, this is to be used if you're actually deploying to testnet or a mainnet. It describes the phrase for that particular wallet that you'll be using to pay for the deployment. In local test environment, you could use this default value provided in the Hardhat documentation, and you'll see that that's actually what's already inside of here. So we'll just leave that alone, 12-word phrase, and we're set. I'm going to save this, and let's move on to the next part of this tutorial. Okay, now to start a development local environment, we're going to run npm run chain. And we run into the first error. Now, this can happen if you don't have the latest versions of some of the packages that are required to run this environment. And that's okay. You can see here, it tells you what to do. It says run this npm install to identify all these packages with these particular versions. So I copy and pasted that. Okay, now we're cooking. Let's try it again. npm run chain. Okay, if you see this, it means that you're in business. You could see that the Hardhat run chain command provided a variety of addresses and private keys, and it started an HTTP WebSocket with a JSON RPC server at this local host environment address. Let's go to the next instruction. You can see here it's run deploy. So let's do that. Now this is going to deploy the contracts that are already inside of the VS Code repository that we're in. And you can see here that it compiled 3 Solidity files successfully. So that is going to use these deploy scripts to deploy these contracts here. Okay, so you've deployed your first contract in Hardhat in a local host environment. Now what? Well, one of the easiest ways to visualize what you are doing is to use Sidekik. So let's head over to app.sidekick.xyz. And one of the great things about the Badass Hardhat setup is, as noted here, is that the code is being compiled and deployed in real time as you save changes in your VS Code, your IDE. And then that address and its ABI is being stored in a JSON file. So that's really interesting because if you don't do it this way, sometimes you can accidentally redeploy old contracts. The contract address changes every time it's deployed. So it can be a pain in the butt. So it's great to use this setup, at least for those reasons. But here's another reason why. When we go to Sidekik and we sync a file, let's go over to Badass Hardhat Setup. You can see we have this contract addresses.json. And if we inspect it, what it looks like is a JSON file with the contracts that were deployed, their addresses, and ABIs. So we'll point that file. And what you'll see is that it grabbed the favorite contract and my contract, grabbed its address and ABI. We'll hit continue. And now we have a couple of buttons. Well, this is a very easy way to visualize what is going on in the deployments that you just made. So let's take a look at these side by side. Okay, under fave contract, you can see that we have a string with the name equal to foobar, an address, a uint, and a function called change name. Change name is taking a string called new name, and it's setting the new name equal to the name. Now on the right, Sidekik is letting you visualize those functions that you've written and deployed to your local chain. So in blue, we have read functions, and orange are execute or write functions. Let's just call the name ABC. So where is ABC being set? Okay, we start by inspecting our fave contract. We don't see AB set being set anywhere here or here, but let's take a look at the deploy scripts and see what they're doing. Not much here, but if we go to the deploy script for fave contract, we do see that the deploy script is actually calling the .change name function and setting it to ABC. Okay, great. So this gives us a quick understanding of what's happening in the code. What about fee? All right, now you'll see that fee is set to 5 and a huge number there. But let's try to convert that maybe into ETH. Okay, fee is being set to 5 Ether. You can see again, that's right there. It's being set. So let's go ahead and try to interact with this a little bit more to understand what's going on. Let's change the name. That's this function here. And let's put Rod at Sidekik. And we'll hit the change name function. We could see how much gas was consumed for this transaction in a way. And now when we click on name, we see that Rod at Sidekik is the new name instead of ABC. So this gives us an understanding of what the code is doing, the fact that it's working. And again, it's a very simple way to visualize what's happening. In the next video, we're going to create a very simple counter smart contract that increments and decrements a counter. Stay tuned for that.